Today, I wanted to just kind of go over a basic, very basic sound system. It's an analog board. This is a very old board. It come out of one of the many churches that I have been a part of. So I'm using this one today just to kind of show you a very basic layout of a board. Not really the layout, but how you will connect a soundboard or a sound console. Now, this video is really geared towards those who may not really know what you're looking at. If you are well versed in sound systems, um, you can still listen to this video and give some pointers at the end. Maybe go down in the comments and comment some things. But I'm basically talking to the person who um, you've been thrown into this. Either you're a worship leader and you have to figure out, how to connect things, or you're a part of a church plant. You know that you want to preach the word of God. You're a new pastor, but you have to set up some sound equipment. You're getting some used equipment. I've been there before, and you're kind of just thrown into it. So today, that's what I'm using, just an SM58 microphone plugged into plugged into the board. So let's get started on what the board's going to look like. So let's just look at the basic board here. On this particular board, this is an old Carvin board. Doesn't matter what brand. So the first thing that you're going to have is these preamps, your XLR inputs. What these are for is for your microphone inputs. As you can see right now, I'm plugged into channel number 16. Now on an analog board, everything is like a grid. So when you look at everything here, like, oh my goodness, look at all these knobs. This is very confusing. Really, it's not. If you dial it down to only look at one column at a time, this is what's called your fader. This is going to change your volume level of whatever you have input into this channel. So right now we have our microphone. This microphone comes into channel number 16 through our XLR cable into our XLR input on your board. Now, the very top thing here on most boards I found, the very top knob on these type of boards is your gain. Your gain is not a volume knob, though it will change your volume. It's not your volume knob. What your gain is doing is setting your board with how much power is in that channel. So if I'm speaking really hard and I'm yelling into the microphone, you may need to bring this gain down a little bit because I've got a lot of volume coming into the mic. But if I'm just speaking, then your gain may be turned up a little bit more. And that's setting how much power is going to be flowing through the board. So as we come on down, you'll see the first thing here is, of course, there's your low cut. Some boards don't have a low cut, some do. I'm not going to talk about that right now. Um, but you'll have your high, your mids, and your lows. On some boards, you only have a high, mid, low. Um, though all those are is just your EQ for that channel. I'm not going to go through all EQ process. There's can be a lot that goes into that, but that's what those are. Don't be afraid to move them around and find what works. But you can always go back to all zeros to get a good starting point. Next, on this particular board, we have 4 monitors. You can see our monitor 1, monitor 2, monitor 3, monitor 4, and these are all 1/4-inch outputs. That's important to know when you're setting up a sound system that, say if you have a bunch of stuff that is given to you and you're trying to put some things together, um, there's a lot of different connections that you could possibly end up with. So like on if we jump over to our main outputs on this board, they are XLR outputs. So you would need to know that whatever you're going to, say you bought some powered speakers, brand new powered speakers, you want those to have XLR inputs if your board has XLR outputs. Um, you can adapt from an XLR to a 1/4 inch, but that's just another adapter. It's another special cable you have to buy. So if you keep your connections the same, I went through all of that in churches because we've been given things for free, and nothing seemed to match up. So we had to buy a bunch of different adapters to be able to get to what we needed. So when you're setting things up, it's a whole lot easier if those are some things that you look at. So we can see that our monitors are 1/4 inch outputs. If you're going to be using wedges on your stage, then it would be best if those have 1/4 inch inputs. If they are powered, what I mean by powered is if they have an amplifier built into them, you have to plug them into power. Uh, those things are a powered speaker. A passive speaker has no amplification to it at all. It needs amplification put onto the signal that's going into it. This particular board is not a powered board. So it's not going to send power anywhere. It's only sending a signal. So, like in our case, a lot of our speakers, or all of our speakers at that time, were passive. They needed to be powered. So, with that, is we had to have an amplifier. Um, so, what we had to do is go out of our 1/4 inch outputs into an amplifier, and then out of the amp into the speakers. Now, some of you guys are saying, "Man, this is so basic." Yeah, it's very basic. But if you've never done this before, then you're like, I didn't know I needed an amplifier. I've been there before. I've talked to pastors. We've been um, helping out in churches or whatever, and they've gathered some equipment. They're like, "Yeah, we got a board. We got everything you need." And when we get there, they didn't have everything we need. They thought they had everything to set up a system, but all they had was a board and a speaker, and they were missing the amplification. So once we come on down, you have your monitor one, two, three, and four, and then your effects, and then your pan. Your pan just goes left and right, and then your actual slider or your fader. So as I bring this up to, I'm set to about -5 right now. So as I bring this down, you'll hear how this just fades out to nothing. And as I bring it back up, you'll hear it may get a little bit loud, a little bit louder. I'm back up to 0. Bring it back down to -5 where I was. So that's kind of your basic setup on any analog board. You're going to have these things. Now, on some specific ones, this particular board has 4 monitor outputs. I've been with some boards that only have 2 monitor outputs, and it makes it very difficult to do anything. You're trying to stream, you're trying to do a lot more things than just provide just a left-right output. We need more than that, and we found that we needed much more than that with this board. What we ended up doing was monitor 1 went straight to our drummer because he was in an enclosure. Monitor 2 and 3 went to our left and right, and we ended up later on we ended up taking like monitor 2 went to just all stage monitors. Monitor 3 went to a splitter that went to a an in-ear monitor system for everybody on the stage. Unfortunately, with that is what they got was the mix from here. They couldn't mix their own. They couldn't mix their own mix like they would like to with this board. And then monitor 4 was our output for streaming. So you have to look at where all does your signal need to go? What are you trying to do when you're mixing? Is it only for in-house only? Is it just for speaking? Something like that. It can be a very small board. Many times when you are setting something up, you need something to get from wherever your board is located to wherever your speakers are located or where your amps are located. And there's so many ways to do this. There's not really a right and wrong, but there is a good and better. But with your signals coming in, if you can pan down to the floor here, there is what's called some people call it a floor box, some people call it, I'm always refer to it as a snake. This is a analog snake. This is only a 12 channel. This one's particular, it's called a 12 by 4 because it has 12 inputs where your mics or your instruments will go into. They're all XLR. And then you have ABCD, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, for your outputs for your speakers. And this one is XLR as well. But these come in many different configurations. So you need to figure out what is it that you need. What are the outputs that your board has? And because if you, like, for instance, this one right now is set up over here. There's nothing in it right now. This one's just in our studio. Our son's been doing some things, and the blue is going into the drum room. It's already in there. The black and the red, this is actually going down here to this box. So reason I say all that is because these are XLRs, the same as what's on the other end. So this is one end of that snake, and the other end is the stage box end. So this is what would be coming into your board. Actually, the ones I have in my hand are the output from your board that's going into the stage box or the snake. So you have two-way communication in this snake. You have um, this one in particular, you have 12 channels coming from the platform into this box, all the way down to wherever your board is, into your XLR inputs. Now, if you get a bunch of stuff given to you from a bunch of different places, you may end up having four of your outputs down there, or yeah, four of your outputs that are 1/4 inch. Well, that's perfect for this board because this is 1/4 inch, so we're okay. If we're going into if you don't need amplification. You have to remember you need an amplifier. In many churches I've been into, the board itself was powered, so it sent power. You did not need an amp because it was built into the board. So a lot of these questions are things that you need to look at. Is my board powered? Yes or no? If it's no, is my speakers powered? Yes or no? If it's no, then you need something to power it, and that's that amp that's in the middle of it. So I hope this is making sense. There's a lot to it. If you know about this stuff, then everything I'm saying is so basic. But if you don't know about it and you're just learning, then you know there's a lot that you do need to look at when you're setting this up. Just in case you do have a board like this and it has your mute, your PFL, your 1-2, your 3-4, your LR. What these are actually doing is your PFL stands for pre-fader listen. So that's not going to do anything for you as far as what you're hearing in house. But when you hit this button, if you have your headphones on, you notice your PFL light comes on. And when that happens, is you are sending your straight signal over to your headphone. That is your fader is not going to affect that. You can turn the fader all the way up, all the way down. You're listening to that pre-fader, and it's also going to send that signal to your metering as well. So you're going to be able to see what the metering does without the fader in it. So as we go on down after the PFL, we have the 1-2 and the 3-4. All that is going to send this signal into group 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. So if I would push the 1, 2, it's going to send this into the group 1 and 2. If I push this one, it's going to send it into 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I take 1 and 2 off, then it sends it only to 3 and 4. So it allows you to group your channel. But like I was saying a moment ago, on most boards that I've seen, they don't have that. That's a pretty good function of Carvin to do that. But on all the other boards that I've been a part of, or all the other churches I've been a part of that had analog boards, uh, they were very basic. So, and they didn't have any of those functions on them. Maybe you're in a new church plant and you're trying to put all this stuff together. A few things that you want to look at is what type of connections that your equipment has. So if you are looking at purchasing equipment, you want to look at, is the board that I currently have, is it powered or is it not powered? If you're going to continue using that board, then what are the connections on that? So, for instance, with this board, it's not powered. It's XLR connections. The next step, if I need to purchase speakers, then my recommendation is to purchase speakers that have uh, the amplification built into them. So that way, all you have to do is take an XLR connection to another XLR connection, and that speaker has the power built into it, engineered specifically for that speaker. If you have to buy an amplifier, what I'm going to recommend you do is look at your speakers that you have, maybe even take a picture of their nameplate and call a company like Sweetwater. And Sweetwater is not paying me for this. I'm just telling you that they're good to deal with. You call them and tell them the equipment that you have, and they'll be able to set you up with the proper amp, because there's a lot that goes into it. And if you're not if you're not well versed in that equipment, you can easily mess something up or burn something up or not get it correct. So it would be the best thing to do is just let a professional tell you what it is that you need. But I would recommend to make certain that they have whatever type of connection you have at your board, and then whatever type of connection you have at your speaker. So those are some things to look at. Look at your connections. Is it powered or is it not powered? So guys, I think that's going to wrap up this video. I just wanted to make a very basic, just how to kind of what a basic system looks like and how to make those connections. A couple things to look out for, maybe not look out for, but a couple things to pay attention to when you're setting one up for the first time or you're putting your system together. You got to make a few purchases on it. So hopefully this has been a value to you. So guys, if this is the type of content you like, make sure you hit the like, hit the bell, and subscribe. But also head over to robinjen.com. And when you go there, there's going to be a pop-up that comes up. Those annoying pop-ups, yeah, I've got those right there as well. What that pop-up is asking you, hey, will you subscribe to this email list? And the only reason I'm asking you to subscribe to an email list is because sometimes the algorithm, you can really mess up your algorithm on YouTube, as I've done, because I like to watch a bunch of different videos. Like I like to watch car videos where they clean cars and where they repair cars, and if I'm watching that, then YouTube sees that that's what I want to see. But then when I want to go back to like, a worship video, it's forgotten everything. So if you're like me and you mess up your algorithm a lot because you watch a lot of different things, once a week when you subscribe, I'll send you an email. Right in that email inbox will be these videos whenever I upload new videos. And plus, when you do subscribe, you get 15% off anything in our store by using the code that's in the email. So head over to robinjen.com and subscribe to my email list for me so I can just send you these directly, and you don't have to depend on the algorithm to put these videos in front of you. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys. God bless you. We'll see you next time.